even if you found it annoying, the amount of work that you had to show, you guys did a good job on your homework. So props to you on that and just remembering what your inverses are. So we're going to stick with equations today. And we're going to stick with one-step equations today. But the difference is that we're going to have rational coefficients. And that seems scary, but it's not as bad as you expect. Remember, a coefficient is the number that is multiplied by the variable. So the number in front of the variable. And when I say that they're rational numbers, remember from last chapter, rational numbers can be repeating decimals, terminating decimals, or fractions. Hence, the very first problem that they show us. So yesterday when you guys were working, every coefficient was a whole number. So today they're going to give us fractions. Now, normally if we had this just like yesterday, and I had 3/4c equals 18, I would have said to you, what math operation is happening when the number is right next to the letter? Multiplication. And to undo multiplication, I should. So really, you would show me that you're going to divide by 3/4. Now, from 6th grade and 7th grade, how do I divide by a fraction? Gatlin? Oh, Casey? Keep, change, flip, I think is the phrase you guys used. You keep the first one, you change it to multiplication, and you flip the second one, which is also known as the reciprocal. So today, when we look at them, you're actually going to do what they show you in example 1. Here's the same exact problem. 3/4c equals 18. And you look at this problem, you say, like, oh my gosh, my coefficient, or the number in front of my variable, is a fraction. So I need to flip it, also known as the reciprocal, and multiply that number on both sides. Okay? If you have a fraction coefficient, you multiply by the reciprocal. All right, so let's practice this. Left-hand side, go up under that Post-it note because they don't give you any space at the bottom of the page. We're going to do got it A. 1/5 x equals 12. 1/5 x equals 12. And just like yesterday, the first thing you're going to do, draw a line through the equals bar. Somebody raise their hand and tell me what my coefficient is in this one. Gatlin already answered. Somebody raise your hand and tell me what the coefficient in this problem is. Jacob? 1/5. The number in front of the variable is 1/5. Nicely done. As soon as you see a fraction, an alarm should go off in your head. Whoop, 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 whoop. If I have a fraction coefficient, I need to multiply by the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal of 1/5? 5/1. I flip that fraction upside down. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I'm also going to multiply 12 by 5/1. Now, this is Miss Huff's favorite part. We can cross-simplify over here, right? We get cross-happy. 5's cancel, 1's cancel. All I have remaining is a 1x. Everybody always asks, do I have to put the 1 in front of the x? Not technically, Miss Hoff always does. On the right-hand side, in order for me to multiply with a fraction, I need 12 to be a fraction. How do I make 12 a fraction? Put it over 1. Easy, Miss Hoff. Anything in the numerator that can simplify with anything in the denominator? No. So we multiply across. 12 times 5 is 60. 1 times 1 is 1. 60 divided by 1 is 60. Okay. Not terrible. Let's do another one. Let's do B. -2/9 D equals 4. -2/9 D equals 4. Somebody who has not answered for me, raise your hand and tell me your coefficient. Isaiah? Careful. Negative 2 ninths. Don't lose your sign in there. Very good. And instantly, whoop, 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 an alarm should be going off in your head. If I have a fraction coefficient, to get rid of it, I multiply by the reciprocal. Somebody raise your hand and tell me the reciprocal that is not answered for me today. Peyton. Awesome job with your negative sign. Nicely done. Negative 9 over 2. Keep that negative with it. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I multiply both sides by negative 9 over 2. Ms. Hoff always goes to the side with the variable because she likes to get cross-happy. A negative times a negative is a positive. Your 9's cancel, your 2's cancel, and all you have left, 1D. On the right-hand side, in order for us to multiply, I need to put 4 over 1. Then I look. By the raise of your hand, somebody tell me if I can cancel anything. If you've already answered for me, I'm not going to pick on you. I just brain farted. Nevea, what can you cancel? 4 and 2. 4 is going to become a, and 2 is going to become a. Nicely done. We multiply across 2 times negative 9. Negative 18. 1 times 1. 1. What is negative 18 divided by 1? Negative 18. Negative 18. Sit up. You have written nothing down because I will not accept that as work. You have to show the same work I do. On your own, I want you to do, got it, D. Do it right here. Like just enough space. Negative 24 equals negative 6/7 P. On your own, and then I'm going to call on some people here. Haley, the first thing I always want to do in these problems is identify my coefficient. My coefficient's the number in front of the variable. What's my number in front of my variable here? Very good. Negative 6/7. And instantly, whoop, 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 it's a fraction, which means I need to multiply by the reciprocal. Talina, yes? Tell me what your reciprocal is in this case. Very good. I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 7 over 6. Ms. Hoff always gets cross-happy on the side with the variable first. A negative times a negative is a positive. 6's cancel. 7's cancel. I'm left with 1P. Nikita, anything I can simplify? 6 would become a, and 24 would become a. Anything else? Everybody together. Negative 7 times negative 4. Which one? Positive 28. 1 times 1. 28 divided by 1 is 28. Be careful with your negatives. Be careful with your negatives. 2 negatives when you multiply end up with a positive. Good work. You're like, got this. Not a big deal. Then you look at the top of the next page, example number 2, and they give us mixed numbers. No, we hate mixed numbers. Mixed numbers are useless to us. The very first thing they do is they change them to improper fractions. So my question to you is, if I gave you negative 7 and 2 ninths, can somebody by the raise of your hand, who I have not heard from today, tell me how I change negative 7 2/9 into an improper fraction. Connor.
Make the whole number times the denominator.
Okay. Okay, so I love exactly what he said. I'm going to ignore the negative. I'm just going to remember that my fraction is negative. Okay, sticking with you, Connor. You said take the whole number times the denominator. What is 7 times 9?
7 times 9.
7 times 9.
63.
63. Add your numerator. 68. 65. Negative 65 over, what's my denominator? Isaiah? 9. It stays 9. People always make a mistake when it's a negative, so just ignore the negative, still multiply and add those together. Okay? So if they give us mixed numbers, the very first step is just changing them to improper. Mixed numbers are useless to us. They're useless to us. Okay? So we are going to do, got it, G. 1 7/8 y equals 4 1/2. 1 7/8 y equals 4 1/2. Draw my line through my equal sign. Tori, 1 7/8. I want to make that improper. Walk me through it. Okay, 8 times 1 is plus 7. 15 over 8y. Nicely done. Nicely done. Paxton, 4 1/2. Which is 8, and then 9. Add 1, so you end up with 9 over 2. Now, we go back to where we learned right at the beginning of the day. Identify your coefficient. Adriana, what's my coefficient in this problem? Before I go down one line, you're right, but let's use the improper version of it. Okay, 15 over 8. The number multiplied with the variable is 15 over 8. So I need to multiply by the reciprocal. Oh my gosh, I just brain farted. Hold on. Chris, tell me your reciprocal of 15/8. 8 over 15. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. 8 over 15. Miss Huff always takes the easy one with the variable because I get cross happy. My 8's cancel. My 15's cancel. I'm left with 1y. Hudson, anything I can simplify on that right-hand side?
8 and 2.
8 and 2. 2 is going to become a 8 is going to become a 4. Taya, anything else you can simplify? 5/3. Very good. 9 would become a, and 15 would become a. Excellent job. Now I'm going to multiply across. Everyone, 3 times 4. 12. 1 times 5. 5. Now, I do not ever want you to give me an answer as a mixed number. I will count it wrong. Leave it improper. But just ask yourself, did you miss anything in simplifying? Is there a number that divides out of 12 and 5 to reduce this further? Anything that divides out of 12 and 5? Nope. Leave it. Mixed numbers are useless from us through the rest of your math career. The first thing you always do is change them to improper, so don't waste your time. If you make it a mixed number answer, I will count it wrong. Don't waste your time. Good so far. So a lot of times when we do these lessons, we start off nice and easy, and then the second part of it, I have to amp it up. And I think today's lesson, they do actually the opposite. I think the hard stuff is at the beginning, because the next thing they want me to teach you is to solve equations with decimal coefficients. Okay? So if you look at the example they give us, Example number 3, 3.15 equals 0.45n. We'll do the same thing we've always done. What's my coefficient? Well, it's a decimal. We talked yesterday, when a number is written right next to a letter, it really means multiplication. To undo multiplication, I divide. So if you have a decimal coefficient, just divide by the decimal. Not a big deal. In Miss Hoff's world, if you are given a decimal to start with, I will accept a decimal answer. If your answer started with fractions or whole numbers, I don't want a decimal. Leave it as a fraction. Okay? Let's go down to, I think it's J on your guys' paper. Got it, J? Bottom right one? Negative 5.6k equals negative 12.88. Draw your line through your equal sign. Allison, what's my coefficient in this problem? Don't lose your negative. Negative 5.6. It's a decimal. Cool. This is one of those easy ones. I'm really multiplying here. To undo multiplication, I use division. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 5.6. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. 5.6 and 5.6 cancel to be 1k. On the right-hand side, negative 12.88 divided by negative 5.6 is positive or negative? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Positive. Very good. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. Is a positive. A whole bunch of those on the assignment, right, Miss Hoff? Hopefully it's a whole bunch of those. Flip it over. Got it or not got it? Guided practice number 4. Miss Paula, bless you. Paula has read 70% of the pages in her book that she's reading for English class. She's read 84 pages. Define a variable, write, then solve an equation to determine how many pages are in the book. Defining a variable means we need to pick a letter and we need to tell Miss Hoff what it stands for. And 97% of the time, they tell you what you're looking for. What letter you want to pick? P? P. What is P going to stand for? Pages in the book. Pages in the book. When we write equations with that equal sign, you're telling me whatever you write on the left side of the equal sign means the same exact thing on the right side. So in our problem, they have described the number of pages Paula has read in 2 different ways. What's one way they describe to you how many pages Paula read? Catlin? Percentage, okay? Specifically, they said she has read 70% of the total pages in the book. Of in math means multiply. We cannot use a percentage in an equation. I need to change that percentage to a decimal. How do I do that? Jacob? Okay, so wherever your decimal is, in this case it's after the 70, twice to the left. So 70% is really 0.70. Of means we need to multiply it by the total pages in the book. Do we know how many pages are in the book? We just said we called that P, right? So 70% times P, because that's how many pages in the book. What's the other way they represent how many pages Paul has read? 84. They just point blank tell us, right? So 70% of the book is also the same as 84. You just wrote the equation. Now we need to solve. Identify your coefficient. Gabriel, what's your coefficient? 0.70. How do I get rid of a decimal coefficient? Parker. How do I get rid of a decimal coefficient? How do I get rid of your decimal coefficient?
The decimal? I was zoned out.
Okay, so we have the equation 0.70p equals 84. I need to get rid of 0.70 as my coefficient. How do I do that?
I don't know. Oh, 7/10.
Sienna, what do we do to get rid of that decimal coefficient? It's not her responsibility for you to pay attention. So it's not her fault. So she doesn't have to tell you anything. I'm sorry, Sienna. Nope. Chris. I divide it by 0.70, right? So if I take 84 divided by 0.70, I get 120. Does it make sense that the number of pages in the book are more than what Paul has read? That'd be kind of silly otherwise, right? The book is 12 pages, but she's read 84. She read it 4 times or what here? I'm not really sure. Okay. So 120 pages. Okay, I'm going to make you do one more, and then I'm going to turn you loose. Right above what we just did. Do example number 2, or sorry, guided practice number 2, and then I'm going to call on random people. Parker's going to be paying attention this time, so he's going to know the answer. Okay? Number 2. Kaya, what's my coefficient in this problem? Very good. Thad, how do I get rid of that fraction coefficient?
Get rid of the fraction. Divide the actual source.
Okay, and what am I going to multiply by? Very good. One little tiny thing. Don't lose your negative. Okay? Don't lose your negative. Very good. So I multiply by negative 25 over 27 on both sides. Ms. Hoff always takes the side with a variable because she can get cross-happy and get all the way down to 1x. Parker, what can I simplify on that right-hand side?
5 to 1 and 25 to 5.
Very good. Lane, what else can I simplify on that right-hand side? Okay. So 9 would become a, and 27 would become a 3. Peter, multiply across for me. What do you end up with? Positive or negative? Are you sure? He's positive, it's positive. Is he right?
Yes.
Nicely done. Can you simplify this any further?
Nope.
Divide by 5. Oh.
Nope.
Here.
Done. Leave it. Leave it. Okay. All right. It is only 12:06. You are not out of here till 12:25, which leaves you 19 minutes. Okay. I'm going to give you your assignment. I'm going to let you get started. And then before the class is over, I'm going to give you the first 9 answers. Okay. Here you go. Top of page 115. Here's your homework. 1 through 11, 15 through 17, and 29 through 31. 1 through 11, 15 to 17, 29 to 31. I'm going to play a little background music so that you don't go crazy because it's quiet in here. If you have any questions, please ask. Otherwise, I want you working silently on your own. I will pack you up 2 minutes before the bell, I promise.